Positive cases expected to go beyond 6,000. ANGAU Doctors stop work. And Mosby Northwest candidates will have to wait.
This is National EMTV News with Helen Seah.
Good evening and thanks for joining us for Thursday's news. The total number of COVID-19 cases as of 30th March now stands at 5,991. However, it is expected to go beyond the 6,000 mark. This was revealed by the Health Secretary, Dr. Osborne Liko, in a news conference yesterday. The Health Secretary says newly confirmed cases as of 30th March are at 371 and the death toll stands at 56.
Speaking to the media yesterday, Health Secretary Dr. Osborne Liko gave an update of the positive COVID-19 cases in the country. By Tuesday, 30th March, the total number of positive COVID-19 cases stands at 5,991 and is expected to rise above the 6,000 mark. These include over 300 new cases recorded over the last 24 hours. Dr. Liko says the number of deaths and positive cases are increasing rapidly.
The numbers of the incidents of COVID-19 for those who have positive cases and those the mortality or death. And I made it very clear from our statistics that we have are not by the months, they are now going by the days.
This is the second week since the national isolation strategy was announced. So far, the death toll in the nation's capital stands at 60.
And as from yesterday, the death toll we had was 56. The 4 that we have from NCDC in Port Moresby now gives a total of 60 deaths.
Going into the future, the National Command Center is working with the provincial governments to address these issues. Recently, the National Command Center met with the provincial governments and PHA to learn of their challenges. Few governors and members of parliament expressed their concerns and experiences, and they are committed to working with the National Command Center. However, provinces are required to provide their provincial response plan to NCC for support.
It's actually done a SWOT analysis on the surge capacity that they have in the province, and we hope to assist the province further with that, but really placing the emphasis on that communication between our provinces and the NCC from here so we can better coordinate and support them.
All provincial health authorities were also urged to provide information to the National Command Center. Emergency physician Dr. Gary Knowles says there is a need for better communication, collaboration and cooperation from all stakeholders.
We have information from the PHAs, but we need to pick up the pace. As we are seeing the incident unfold in Mosby, we need to be more urgent about what we are doing. We need to pick up the pace. We need to get on the front foot of this pandemic. We need to coordinate better.
Rayon Lakingu National, EMTV News.
Doctors at the ANGAU Memorial Hospital walked off their jobs yesterday afternoon after being denied a response from the hospital administration and the Department of Personnel Management on outstanding gratuities and staff shortage. The Moresby PNGRL National Doctors Union had presented a number of petitions on these concerns to the administration, however claimed that they never received any tangible response.
President alluded to, our initial plan, all the doctors met yesterday, and our plan was to stop work 406 today. However, we have had some input, some feedback from our mother union, MDA PNG executive, and they have requested us to call the media in and put the talk survey out and then give some days. So this group here, we have decided for the rest of us that we will give till next week. Wednesday. If we don't hear anything promising, nothing is done practically, then 406 next Wednesday we stop work.
So making this additional on top of what I've already said. We have a limited workforce here. and they have problems that's been going on for a long time. And if DPM is not going to recruit as soon as we want or give that power to our authority here, then they have to deal with whatever issues our officers have. That means they need to pay up their gratuities. They have to do it to appease, make peace with them so they come to work, or they don't take, make very bad decisions next week. We are already threatening. We want to do it today, but we're hoping that this message gets to people that need to hear, and they act on all these things that matters to our doctors.
The Governor-General, Sir Bob Dadai, was amongst the group to receive the AstraZeneca vaccine yesterday. On Tuesday, the Prime Minister, the Pandemic Controller and other senior politicians were the first to receive the vaccine, which is being administered at the National Football Stadium. A number of health workers in Port Moresby were also amongst the first to receive the vaccine. Despite a public outcry questioning the effectiveness of the vaccines, the government maintains its stance on the rollout of the vaccine, with priority to be given to frontline health workers in the coming weeks. With the steep rise in COVID-19 across the country, Number One Super Limited has once again reviewed and responded to the threat of the pandemic on their operations. They're encouraging their members to help stop the spread of the virus by not visiting its branches for simple inquiries. However, they must make use of the phone, online and SMS services. CEO Paul Sayer says under the Nupla Passin protocols, they're limiting face-to-face meetings, awareness and services.
The Number One Super CEO was speaking at the presentation of their 2020 financial results yesterday. With the surge in the number of COVID-19 cases in the country, their businesses have been affected. The fund has responded to the threat on their operations by encouraging members to use their phone, online and SMS services. In line with the Nupla Passin protocol, they are limiting their face-to-face meetings, awareness and other services.
What we're asking members to do is, rather than come and have face-to-face awareness or training, that they use our toll-free number. They contact us through the web. We're here to serve and to answer those questions and to look at how we work with our members who need funds or need information about superannuation, but we want them to do it in a responsible way.
Branch services are still limited and the number of members allowed in the branch is restricted. Application lodgements are limited to Tuesdays and Thursdays for payment of benefits. This includes new benefits, unemployment, retirement savings accounts, unfunded state share, housing advance and deceased claims. And members can do follow-ups and general inquiries on Monday, Wednesdays and Fridays.
So the simple things that we're asking people to do if they do need to come to a branch, and to try to limit coming to, in fact, the branch that we have. During 2020, we looked at introducing what we call a no contact form. People can come drop off forms at our branches without having any contact with the staff that are in there to protect themselves and others.
With many of their members being frontline workers, members have been urged to take actions that will help slow down the spread of the virus. CEO Paul Sayers says members must consider if there is a need to visit a branch.
We're asking people to think about those frontline workers and the risks that they face, and for us to think around what can we do as responsible members of the fund to assist our other members. We certainly admire the work that they do, and we're trying to take ourselves the responsible actions.
Rayon Lakingu National, MTV News.
You're watching National MTV News. We'll have more stories after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back. The PNG Nurses Association raised concerns on the neglect of treating patients with other diseases or illnesses in this pandemic. PNG-NA Secretary General Gibson Sione says if they continue to neglect other health issues, there will be greater health risks in the future.
As soon as COVID-19 came about, every focus has been on COVID-19. As we are speaking, there is no immunization program in the remote and isolated villages throughout Papua New Guinea. One find that there will be an outbreak of communicable disease, immunizable disease. How will the Department of Health and Department of Health come in to manage this? We've got TB, which is a problem right now. Government is not taking this as a priority when COVID-19 came in. Funding for public health sector, there is none. And now we've got money available for COVID-19. Why can't the government and the National Department of Health put COVID-19 as a public health issue and treat it like any other public health issue in the same basket, because COVID-19 is here to stay.
Octady Mining Limited has resumed its operations today. After a 19-day shutdown following a surge of COVID-19 cases, OTML acting MD and CEO Keddy Limbit says the start of operations will be gradual, with a full ramp-up to full production expected in the coming weeks. Limbit says the temporary suspension has allowed the company to repatriate personnel who were not required on site and allowed the company to conduct a mass testing exercise for Tabubil residents and the workforce. He said the immediate focus of OTML is safety and to ensure the company manages well its COVID-19 control measures. The Unitec to 10 City Road section is completed and open for traffic after 30 years of neglect by previous government and leaders of Lae and Moresby province. This was made possible through the leadership of Lae MP John Rosso, who negotiated with the Works Department for the upgrading of the road. The 2-kilometre stretch of concrete road was funded by the national government through the Works Department at a cost of over 20 million kina.
This used to be the road before construction. It became a waterway with no proper drainage, a lot of potholes, and the condition continued to worsen. For 30 years, issues concerning the road conditions raised by the public were ignored by the previous governments and leaders of Lae and Moresby. In 2018, under the leadership of Lae MP John Rosso, it was brought to the attention of the Works Department to upgrade this 2-kilometre stretch of road from Unitec to 10 City.
Per kilometre, it could cost very close to about 12 million. Can be a little bit more. So because of these 2 kilometres, you might be looking at something below 30 million kina, below.
Project I'm taking a long time, but contractor is a government contract and no got money. So contractor I'm working on them, so they worked without funds until we managed to secure funds to pay them. I'd like to offer my appreciation on behalf of the people of Lae to the Marape, our Prime Minister Marape, Basel government, to support us on this. I'd also like to appreciate the Works Minister, who's been a very strong supporter of mine. I'd also like to appreciate the Works people and our contractor, and also the people that live along this stretch. 20 years they haven't had a proper road. Thank you, patience belong all. Some play belad, but thank you through patience belong. Now you play using road, but please look at him road. Infrastructure is important. Look after it. So we will continue this relationship. The next project online will be the Bumbu to Malahang one, which is another critical section. One is money. 2, we cannot shut both major roads at the same time. So road finish now, we'll start lap side. That is with DOW. Now, Mipla Pani money will support him DOW. It's a project.
Lae is the capital city of Moresby province and an industrial hub that generates 800 million kina towards the country's revenue from its goods and services tax returns. However, infrastructure, including national road upgrades, which is the responsibility of the Works Department, has been neglected over the years.
There may not be any funding in the system. In the budget itself, but Department of Works as Miblai looking for some, you got some lig money me come inside long or some program working more road maintenance or kind of some. We get the contractors. We have a very good understanding with the contractors, where we give them a little bit of money, they put in a little bit of money on a kind of with an understanding. So Bumayong, Igolo 10 City. Tamblola Bumayang kami kuanta Malan, all these roads will continue as an ongoing program.
Today, this 2-kilometre concrete road constructed by JVPNG, funded by the Works Department through the national government, was made possible through a constructive consultation between Lae District and the Works Department.
Lae need him 200 million. Lae put in Koltal all get a street belong all. Right now, me plan no money, so me sim legally mine national government. Liglig money lo wana GST lo morobe, liglig lo DSIP, mipla bungim na mipla ko working on a road project lo implement, trying to address it. The problem is we are making about 20 years of neglect. This logara road 20 years bagara pe. Me now is the first time member na. Me try no working liglig go na me finish ogara road lo lai.
The opening of the Unitec 10 City Road was officiated by Works Minister Michael Nally, Education Minister Jimmy Ugoro, and Lay MP and Minister for Lands John Rosso. This road will benefit the residents of East Taraka, Unigate, Igam and 10 City.
It's 1996 sa road em bagara pikam potholes na sila road em bos em big plus service lo em ketarim online lo igam barracks bumayong settlement area na PTC.
Work has also begun on the East Taraka Road sealing and upgrading through a partnership between Lay District, Lay City Authority and the Moresby Provincial Government under the Suburban Road Sealing and Rehabilitation Program. Julie Badui, Owa, National EMTV News, Lay.
Nadzab Airport landowners in Moresby have expressed dissatisfaction over Governor Ginsan Sanu's announcement to rename the airport to Sir Michael Somare International Airport when completed. The Gabsong Keg community leaders said with respect to the late Grand Chief, the governor failed to consult the landowners and leaders before making this public announcement. A community leader, Ben Gary, said the current name has historical significance they wish to keep, adding that there are other new projects in the province that can be named to commemorate the Grand Chief.
These Nadzab Airport landowners at Gabsong Keg are frustrated that the Moresby governor's announcement to change the Nadzab Airport name was done without consultation.
There was no consultative approach in this matter. Our president doesn't know, our ward councillor doesn't know, our president doesn't know, our member for UNGAU doesn't know. Where did you come from?
I put him long, Nadzab Airport to change him. Lo this lap mipla itok nokat.
This name Nadzab Emino can change.
The announcement to change the airport name was made by Governor Saonu at the late Grand Chief Sir Michael Somare's National House Cry in Port Moresby and again in Wewak.
Long name of people from Moresby, Nalo Papua New Guinea. Nadzab Airport, it must come up Nadzab Somare International Airport.
The landowners said with respect to the late Grand Chief and his family, they wish to keep the name Nadzab because of its historical and cultural significance to the people.
Ask him long name in this station. Only talk name him Nadzab because it's a baranay or manong here planin na kaikan is that. So it was before the war, 1900. Now only misinterpreting the name misinterpreting the name Nadzab, now put him name Nadzab. Airport, you can't change the history of the people.
In a petition prepared for the governor, they've demanded that Saonu apologize to landowners and retract the statement, saying he has to meet with them in person.
The governor must look sabelo. Triple point blomibla nemas. Look sabelo when in bell blomibla community.
Lucy Kopana, National EMTV News, Lay.
Intending candidates vying for the vacant Mosby Northwest seat will have to wait till next week for the order of draw. The order of draw is to identify the box numbers for each contender. The National Control Centre Deputy Incidents Manager Dr. Melinda Susapu says the controller called for such following the surge in COVID-19 cases.
After close to 4 hours of waiting at the NCD electoral office, the intending candidates were told of the final decision. This had to come from the controller's office through the deputy incidents manager calling for a week delay. The 1 week delay was for the officers of the electoral office and the response team to come up with a standard operating protocol for the remaining electoral process.
To give a week and make sure that they have the SOP in place for you to carry out your campaign. We'll try to meet the dates that are already set, but you give us this week, give the team this week. Let them come up with that SOP. It's really important for us.
This, however, didn't go down well with the candidates and several of them wanting the order of draw, which is to see each candidate get their box numbers.
I
assure we as candidates that your recommendations will be upheld? That's my question to you.
We just want that number and 1 week silence.
They called on the authorities concerned to do the order of draw as soon as possible because they have waited the month through already in respect to the Grand Chief's mourning period.
Give us our box numbers, candidate numbers. We need to print it now. Get our posters down. We need to get our banners up.
The National Control Center officers and the electoral staff called the controller, and this was the response relayed by the returning officer. The order of draw will be next week.
Tuesday, we blow next week. Wednesday, we get it signed, and Thursday, we conduct the order of draw. Now you play one side now. That's like SOP. Now you play candidates, where you play Olim, they go inside the campaign, we play that's like now, and we are going to follow that.
42 candidates are contesting the seat left vacant following the death of sitting MP late Semekere Morota. Rayon Lakingu National, MTV News.
And now looking at the NASFund market report, the Kina opened unchanged at $0.2850 in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, Yokina will buy $0.2775 US, $0.3606 Australian dollars, $0.3935 New Zealand dollars, and 30.12 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold is trading lower, coffee and cocoa closed higher, and copper closed lower. Palm oil and copper closed lower, crude oil is trading higher. And on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed lower, the ASX 200 is trading higher, and the All Ordinaries is trading higher.
Tukai Sports.
Welcome to Chukai Sports. The Papua New Guinea Rugby Football League, or PNGRL, has tentatively set April 24th and 25th to kick off its 2021 Rugby League season pending approval from the Office of the Pandemic Controller. PNGRL CEO Stanley Hondina said this was due to the new measures announced last week by Controller David Manning, giving everyone at least a month to strictly follow and adhere with following the recent spike on COVID-19 positive cases.
It is another year of COVID-19 lockdowns. This time it's the nationwide isolation. One competition that had operated under strict restrictions by the Office of the Pandemic Controller in 2020 is the Digicel Cup competition. Teams have been preparing well in the pre-season, hoping for eased COVID-19 restrictions. But with the month-long isolation in place, the competition will have to revert back to the Bunnies protocols. Under the Bunnies protocols, the Digicel Cup competition was successfully run and completed in 2020. But the protocols are being reviewed and revised to include selected affiliated leagues and schools to start their competitions as well. Papua New Guinea Rugby Football League CEO Stanley Hondina this week said the tentative kick-off weekend of the semi-professional competition will be from April 24th and 25th. The Papua New Guinea National Rugby League competition, PNGRL, managed the Digicel Cup franchise draws, travels, accommodation and all associated activities quite strictly under the Bunnies protocols with nil transmission of the virus reported. PNGRL has submitted the revised protocols to the Controller's Office for approval so that the 12 franchises and compliant affiliated leagues and schools in the country can resume. Fredeli Sukina, Trukai Sports.
Earlier this week, Cricket PNG announced Carl Sandry, who will be taking over from Joe Dawes as the national coach. Sandry will oversee all three national squads as well as high performance department and talent development.
Carl Sandry is the new name to adorn the national cricket teams and the Cricket PNG's high-performance division with its talent programs. According to a media release from Cricket PNG board, Sandry was to command duties this week. Carl Sandry is not new to the cricket world. According to Greg Campbell, CEO of Cricket PNG, Sandry has an extensive professional coaching resume across men's, women's, junior representative cricket and high high performance. Campbell stated the new coach took on coaching roles within Cricket Australia, Cricket Victoria, Big Bash League and with Italy in associate cricket,
Call my father and sort of say, I'm actually up in Sydney at the moment.
where he also represented as a player. While the CEO gives praises to the new coach, he notes the shoes left behind by outgoing coach Joe Dawes and believes in Sundry to progress the work going forward in what is a very big year for Cricket PNG.
And chairs down there because their trip to us.
In particular, the Barmandis ICC T20 World Cup debut in India later this year. Outgoing Dawes has given similar sentiments of his replacement. In a statement, Dawes acclaims Sundry a ripper with tremendous experience. Dawes believes Sundry will fit well at CPNG, especially with the playing group. The new coach is yet to arrive in country and Cricket PNG is unsure at this stage of the exact arrival date as they navigate the process and protocols under the current COVID situation in PNG to obtain necessary approvals. Kilawani, Trukai Sports.
And that ends Trukai Sports. The weather details up next.
Trukai Sports.
This weather update is proudly brought to you by MoniPlus, with you always.
A look at the weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow in the southern region. Mostly cloudy with rain showers in Port Moresby, showers expected in Daru and Kerama, and a shower or two in Alatau and Popondita. In the Mamasa region, mostly fine weather with a chance of a shower or two later across all centres in Lae, Medang, Wewak and Vanimong. In the New Guinea Islands region, partly cloudy with a chance of a shower or two in all centres, Lorengau, KV and Kokoporabao, Kimbe and Buka. And in the Highlands region, rain showers, then morning fog in Mount Hagen, partly cloudy with evening showers, then morning fog in Goroka, Kundiawa, Mendi and Wabeg. Forecast for small crafts for the next 24 hours, waters of southern PNG, Indonesian border, through Torres Strait to Daru to Kiwai Islands and Kerama, to Yule Island and Hood Point, to Samarai Islands with waters of Samarai to Cape Vogel, to Huon Gulf and Finchhafen with waters of New Ireland to New Britain and Bougainville, seas of 0.5 to 1.3 meters. Waters of Samarai Islands to Cape Vogel and eastern and western Milne Bay Islands with waters north of Long Island to Medang, to Wewak and Aitape to Vanimor and northern PNG Indonesian border, including waters of Manus and its western group of islands, seas of 0.5 to 1 meter. Waters of Finchhafen through Vitiaz and Dampier Straits to CRC and Long Islands, seas of 0.5 to 1.5 meters. I'll look at the ocean forecast for PNG areas in the Coral Sea. Seas slight to moderate with east to southeast winds at 10 to 20 knots. In the Solomon Sea, seas smooth with northwesterly winds at 5 to 10 knots. In the Bismarck Sea, seas smooth with west to northwest winds at 5 to 10 knots. And in the Pacific Ocean, seas smooth with northeast to southeast winds at 5 to 10 knots.
The weather update was proudly brought to you by MoniPlus, with you always.
And that's been the news, sport and weather for Thursday, the 1st of April 2021. From all of us here at EMTV, pleasant viewing. Good night.